Hurricane season is officially here, but one research facility right here in the Carolinas has been working year-round on storm-proofing homes. Meteorologist and climate specialist Elisa Raffa takes us into the test lab where Category 3 hurricanes are simulated inside.
Pretty incredible video, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like shaky earthquakey, but yeah.
Yeah, and they're able to simulate that inside.
Crazy.
And that's how they're able to test homes, you know, how they're being built. So they're doing some really cool work there. It's called the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. And what they're able to do is they build full-scale models of homes like you saw there, and then they turn on these massive fans. There are so many of them, about 150 fans with so much horsepower. They can get the winds up to about 130 miles per hour, which would be about a Category 3 strength of the storm. So they crank up these fans and then they're able to mimic real-world conditions. They often even use observations and records from real hurricanes, right? So they could take the wind observations from Florence or from Ian, kind of plug it into their wind turbines, crank it, and then see how these different types of homes that are engineered differently, you know, from the walls to the roof and the foundation, they're engineering them in different ways to kind of see, okay, which way gets us the most resilient and robust outcome, right? Where are there going to be some of these soft spots or these pressure points that pop, you know, given the winds that they're cranking? They could even crank water on it too, because, you know, a hurricane has a lot of rain that comes with it. So
absolutely.
It's fascinating work that they do.
It looks like a really expensive project as we watch these homes get destroyed by the wind and everything, but I would love to hear, what are some of the biggest problem spots in a home or vulnerabilities?
So they find that there are two huge ones. Garage doors. There's a huge entry point for wind. If you don't have a wind rated or wind safe garage, it's very easy for the wind to get into the home by knocking down that garage door, and then all of a sudden it's intruding inside the home. So that's one. And the roof is another big problem spot because the roof is layered, right? So you have shingles, but underneath it there are roof coverings, and the roof also comes in, how do I want to say this, like boards, right? And there needs to be a seam in between the boards so the boards can kind of expand and contract with summer heat. But if you don't tape up that seam, you can get flood damage from them as well. So there are certain ways to make your roof more robust and more resilient, the garage door as well, and that's what they work on researching at this facility.
And when you talk about these weak spots, then how do they bring the science into it once they identify these certain weak spots in the home?
Right, so they're doing all this research, right? They find, okay, this is a better way of doing things. Then what they do with that information is they're able to update our building codes, which shockingly enough is not a thing for every state. Yeah, it's not every state has a statewide building code, right? So what they're trying to do is get this research out there to update the building codes that we do have and to get all of this accessible to communities farther inland, to communities that might not have the resources, just so we can all be more resilient going forward.
It's so interesting because we see how catastrophic hurricanes can be. This really important information.
More and more.
To get those updated.
And how quick the damage can happen. Elisa Raffa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, hurricane season is officially here, and the focus now shifts to protecting homes.
Researchers at a South Carolina facility work year-round to find the best way people can keep themselves and their homes standing.
Meteorologist and climate specialist Elisa Raffa is joining us. Elisa, this was a fascinating piece that aired last night and a couple times this morning. When it comes to the science, what is this facility doing?
It was honestly a lot of fun to kind of see the work that they're doing. Basically, they're trying to see how homes are being engineered and built, and they build full-scale models of homes like you saw in that video, and they have these massive turbines that they turn on these massive fans and can simulate 130-mile-per-hour Category 3 hurricane force winds, and they can lash the home with wind and rain just like they would in a hurricane, even using some observations from past hurricanes. Like they could take wind speeds that actually happened in North Carolina from Florence, let's say, or Dorian or Ian, right? And then they can simulate happens in these hurricane conditions with homes built differently. So they're trying to see, you know, from walls to roofs to foundations, how are these homes structured and where are the problem spots, where are the weak spots, where is the wind getting in, and how is it doing that so we can build better for the future.
Yeah, even with different builds and construction types, did they find common vulnerabilities in a lot of these homes through the tests?
Yeah, there are two main problem spots. Often it's the garage doors are usually a weak point. If you don't have wind-rated garage doors, the wind can usually get right in that way, and roofs as well. They have a fortified program where they layer the roofs underneath the shingles. You have better roof coverings, better caps to keep all of that down, and you tape the seams. This way water can't get in. So you see there, the roof's often the first line of defense.
It's really incredible to see the power of Mother Nature and science. So they do these tests. How do they get that into building codes, into action?
They are part of some of the voting processes to get this science to update the building codes. And what I learned was not every state has a building code. Like you would think like this is a thing, right? It's mandated everywhere. Why would you not have a standard of building a home? You know what I mean? And that's not the case, surprisingly. North Carolina does have a statewide building code, but a lot of states don't. So what this research does is help make it equitable, help make it more accessible, to try to get it into communities that maybe don't have that opportunity, that don't have building codes and aren't building to a standard.
I guess if you're in the place of building a new home, you can bring some of these standards into your home building, but for those of us that are in homes that are 20 years old or older, what does the average homeowner need to know with what you're telling us?
You can ask for these upgrades. The roof program that they have, you can fit your roof to have that fortified roof. So depending on your home, you can ask for these upgrades. And this research is just so important because we know billion-dollar disasters are increasing every single year. We're breaking records for 15, 17, 20 separate billion-dollar disasters in a year. I was looking at some numbers. In the 1980s, we used to get that number of billion-dollar disasters in a decade. 20 in a decade, now we're getting 20 in a year. So it just makes this so much more crucial. And what I didn't realize is that homeowners have this power to ask for better, right? Like, do you know what the code is? Like, do you know what the standard is?
No, you're just probably happy to see progress if you're building anything.
Right, but like we don't know what this is, you know, ask what the standard is, right? You know, because we can demand better than that because we're going to need to, because hurricanes are getting stronger, slower, wetter, and science tells us these disasters are just increasing if we do nothing to cut our carbon emissions.
Water is so destructive.
Yes. And what I didn't realize that the roof damage, if you're peeling off pieces of your roof from the wind damage, that water gets in so easily. So now you have a wind claim and a water claim, and dealing with the insurance companies can be, as we all know, a little bit of a pain in the you-know-what.
Tough. We'll just leave it at that. Elisa Raffa, our meteorologist and climate specialist, we appreciate that report. And if you'd like to catch it, we've got it up online at qcnews.com.